population could see sunlight at the same time, and that this event actually happens each year on July 8th at exactly 11:15. Now, some people have taken this to meaning that the Earth can't be a globe, like our old friend Level Earth Observer, who subsequently published this video called The Impossible Globe Earth.
Tomorrow is one of those days that is just that, impossible if the Earth was a globe, based on the fact that 99% of the people on Earth see sunlight at the same time. You can see Russia, all across Europe, all across to North and South America are pretty much in daylight. Pay particular attention to the side profiles showing the sunlight, remembering that only half the globe Earth faces the sun at any given point in time. So it would be impossible for that much sunlight if the Earth was a ball. Don't take my word for it. Try and demonstrate this for yourself. If you're a globe believer, try and reproduce this amount of sunlight from one light source on your globe.
Now, the animation of Earth being used here to suggest how much sunlight must be hitting the Earth is quite misleading with regards to the claim that 99% of people would see sunlight at the same time.
Here to the back. And we're going to put the Terminator line right here on California, okay? Because we want the United States. A lot of people live here, and we're looking for people, not land. So we're going to cut this off in California. Let's come over here and see what we've got. So what we've ended up with is over half the population of China is in complete darkness. This has to be in daylight. Indonesia, way back here is Australia. It's all in complete darkness. Look at all this land that's in complete darkness. There's too many people here for this to work. So let's bring that Chinese population back on the Terminator line. Let's step back over here and see what we've got. Well, looky there. Over half of the United States is now in complete darkness. To get 99% of the population, you've got to get more than that. Look how much of South America is in. There's a lot of people down here. You can't get 99% of the population in daylight on a globe. It does not work.
Although, in Elio's defense, I don't think he is knowingly being misleading, because he does state in the description that the animation comes from Dino Tonelli, who originally published a video claiming this event debunks the globe. So if we look at timeanddate.com, we can see that they have the day and night world map, where you can see the sun and the moon's location for any date and time, down to 10-minute intervals, as well as allowing you to see the day or night time for anywhere in the world. Now, you will note on the map there are 5 colour areas. The bright section, where land masses appear white, is the daylight section. The darkest section is nighttime, but then there are 3 bands in between them which gradually transition between daylight and night. This is the twilight zone. Not that twilight zone. There are 3 stages of twilight, just after sunset and just before sunrise. Now, if you've ever waited around and watched the sunset, you'll know that after the sun disappears behind the horizon, it doesn't suddenly become nighttime. The sky remains brightly lit, and over the next hour or so, it gets progressively darker.
Well, you're contradicting yourself.
Observe. It's in 2 mutually contradictory states.
This is twilight. It starts with civil twilight immediately after sunset, and lasts until the sun has dropped to around 6 degrees below the horizon, where it then transitions into nautical twilight. That lasts until the sun has dropped to around 12 degrees below the horizon. Facing the sun in order to actually see the sunlight that is going into the outer edges of the atmosphere won't hit the Earth directly. It will instead pass overhead and hit the atmosphere on the other half of the Earth. Now, some of this light will just pass straight through the atmosphere and back out into space. Some of it, though, will reflect off the upper atmosphere and back down towards Earth.
But I guess we just have to let stupid people believe what they're gonna believe.
Now, this is only a very small amount, which is why it still seems quite dark, but it's not quite true darkness. So, technically means that people within those areas are still seeing sunlight, even though it's only a very small amount. And this is what Time and Date themselves clarify in their own article about their statement of 99% of people seeing sunlight.
Cool story, bro, but
we have sort of a problem here. Yeah, you apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS reports.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that. I forgot.
Yeah. You see, we're putting the cover sheets on all TPS reports now before they go out. Did you see the memo about this?
Yeah. Yeah, I have the memo right here. I just forgot. But it's not shipping out till tomorrow, so there's no problem.
Okay, now watch this animation. Watch this sunset. Now this is exactly, if they came to me and said, do an animation, this is how I would do it. If the sun were 93 million miles away. Just like that. Have the whole horizon fade evenly. But that's not what we see.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great. And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo. Okay?
Yeah, no, I have the memo. I've got it.
Okay, wow, look at that. Look how the light lifts off the ground like a big wedge or like lifting up a sheet of paper. That's incredible footage. Definitely the light's following the sun, right? Okay, next I'm going to show you how a sun that is circling over the Earth, that creates the horizontal aspect of the sun. If you combine that with perspective, which creates the up and down of the sun, the rising and the setting, you get the 23.5 degree tilt that they talk about. It's nothing but perspective and the circling sun. And the sun does look like it's going up and down. The reason it's doing that is that this town in Alaska is not in the center of the sun's circular circuit. In other words, the sun is making a big circle, and the town is not in the center of that circle. So the sun will be closer and further from the viewer with the camera. That will cause it to go higher and lower, and also maybe even bigger and smaller. I want you to pay attention to the way the light follows the sun. The sunlight's going to shrink, right, as it follows the locally illuminating sun. Now watch this. See it shrinking, following the sun? You do not get that if the sun is 93 million miles away. The entire horizon should fade evenly, just like this supposed shot taken from space of the Earth. You can clearly see the way they depict it. They depict the demarcation between day and night, or light and dark, as a long straight line. And you can see the long straight line moving as one solid piece. That means that the sunset should all fade, the entire horizon should fade evenly. But that's not what we observe, as we will see and as we've seen in the footage so far. The sunlight shrinks and follows the sun over the horizon. So these time-lapse sunsets are definitely the nail in the coffin for heliocentrism. But this particular one here, shot from above the clouds from this observatory, is the final nail in the coffin. Look at how the sun just shrinks and the light shrinks to nothing. That cannot happen, as I showed you in the when the sun illuminates the entire Earth, which it does from 93 million miles away. It has to. You don't get this isolated look at the sunlight trailing the sun. That's only possible with a small sun, close, not very high, illuminating locally. I mean, if this isn't proof to you, then you gotta take the blinders off. And finally, I want to show you some examples of local illumination, or a city in the background. This is from Grand Canyon National Park. You can see Las Vegas is one of them. You can see the stars going down, so you know that's not the sun. That's the glow of Las Vegas, it says. You can see that's local illumination. I'm just making an example showing you here's Tuba City and a little bit of Flagstaff. Now, in this one here, you see two lights. Obviously, we don't have two suns, but these are two cities lit up, and it's just to show it looks just like the sun going over the horizon. That's the point of me showing that. That's local illumination at work. The sun is not 93 million miles away, because if it was, the entire horizon would fade evenly, and the entire horizon would fade at the same time. Not what we see here, which is the small sun cruising over the Earth and the light is following it. Case closed.
Happening right now across the globe. As of about 3 minutes ago, 7:15 Eastern Time, 99% of the entire world's population is facing the sun. That means we're all experiencing some degree of sunlight at the exact same time, either full daylight or, for a lot of other folks, twilight. If you look at the map right there, just the Pacific Islands and Australia, the Australian region, are fully in the dark. 99% of the world.
And California. Poor California.
Yes.
You know what, though? What a cool phenomenon.
One thing to bring us all together, literally to bring all of us together, because at this moment, I'm talking right now, 7:15, 99% of the population of the Earth is in some sort of daylight or sunlight. Now, this is due to the fact that the Earth has a tilt to it.
Yeah. Right.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
23.5 degrees. So it's the way it's rotating around the sun and the way it's orbiting in general. But right now, at this time in the calendar year, this doesn't happen every day. This only happens today, and it only happens right now. 7.68 billion people are in daylight or in twilight. The only spots that are not in daylight right now are Australia, Papua New Guinea, and New Zealand. Outside of that, the rest of the world is in daylight. Do you like that?
July 8th is known as an impossible day on the globe. It's due to the fact that the globe gets to be illuminated in almost 70% of its surface. This cannot happen because we all know that according to the ball Earth, the sun illuminates half of the ball Earth. Flat Earth is proved on this day.
I wanted to say this comment concerning a monkey's comment. So yeah, when that fact is mentioned, that when you mention the citations from these professional institutions that teach their students to operate various machinery, especially, travel vehicles, right, through the air, on the water, on the earth, especially through the air, that they are being taught to navigate and operate these machines on a flat, stationary, non-rotating plane. And then the apologetic response, which is just an ad hoc rescue fallacy, well, it's just to make the math simpler. Well, that's a digression from the point. Furthermore, you're insinuating that that premise is false within the curriculum that these students are receiving. And so that necessarily reduces that reply to absurdity. You're telling me these professional institutions are teaching their students to operate this machinery with their lives and the lives of others in their hands in a cosmological paradigm that isn't real?
Kapow! Truth bomb!
Okay, you can go look it up by this number. This is public information. Here's more. But I will direct your attention to here. Okay, go print this up on your own. Here we go. Stop being lazy. The information is available. Now, I only printed up the pages that I needed because this comes up. Each file has hundreds of pages. Here is a CIA document. You can go look it up by this number. Talking about the firmament. Talks about the near sun, flat earth, firmament. Okay. Here's NASA talking about flat, non-rotating earth. NASA, huh? These are documents you can go find on your own. Here's another NASA document, which I sent you the link to this one. Flying over a flat, non-rotating earth. And if that's not enough for you, we have the Student Flight Dynamic Handbook that will also tell you Earth is flat and non-rotating. Okay? If that's not enough, we have the FFA. Not talking about the Earth spinning, elliptical orbiting, or flying through the galaxy at all. The globe is dead.
Modern science wants you to believe that this is Earth's shadow coming in, doing a turn, and leaving this way. But ancient Hindu cosmology talks about Rahu and Ketu, which aren't actually planets, but balls of energy that interfere with celestial bodies as they pass over them, which actually sounds a lot like dark celestial bodies in modern science.
You have no idea that the closest star, Proxima Centauri, is 4.2 light years away, and probably have no idea that that is 25 trillion miles away, and that again is just camera interference. You flat earthers are so dumb that you think that when you see a boat go out of sight, that it's not because it's going over the curve. And you're so dumb that you don't even realize when the sun is half covered from the curve of the earth, that it's proving that we live on a globe.
Now, if you live right here and you're looking up here at this moon, all you ever see this moon do from your perspective is go from the east to the west. They are telling you that this is a real image from this satellite. This is video footage, time lapse. None of these clouds move, but just pretend it's real. I know you can because you believe it is real. So this will be no problem that the clouds don't move for you. Huge problem for me. However, this is all real. Now, as it's flying past you here, notice he's got the moon going this way with the spin of the earth.
Wow, didn't know that. Hey.
Now, the moon is faster than the earth rotation. Now, that's what he's telling you.
Yep, right.
But yet, you see it go the other way in the sky.
Been telling folks well over 10 years here on my Hillbilly EDU channel on YouTube that the anomalies in those details is where you spot the lies in our model. Case in point, this asshole here, Alex, prior to the 2017 total solar eclipse, is giving a demonstration here with his hands. This hand here would be if he's holding the ball Earth, and this would be him demonstrating the moon. It's faster in its rotation than the Earth, and they're both spinning in the same direction. Now, let me show you examples here that belie that model. In this canon from this book from the German astronomer in the 1800s. He's showing you this triangle. Here's where it starts. This triangle is where it ends. This is midday, and this is midnight. So we look here. This path, May 1st, 2079. Triangle begins New York City, and it travels from east to west.
What a charming contradiction.
Yeah, right? Right, yeah.
Midnight up here, over 80 degrees north. It ends near the Bering Strait after midnight. The problem is, I'll show you, this is not a very good map. Over here on the Gleasons, 66.6 degrees, Arctic Circle, where the midnight sun is possible. But if you look at different places that aren't involved in trying to snooker the public, like this place I found on the web from Norway, they're telling you they've got a city up at 70 degrees north, and it gives you the date on when the midnight sun is visible there. So I'm going to also show you a location at over 84 degrees north, where this spot here is, and apparently you're having a total eclipse. Now, that contradicts our story of the path always going west to east. See, this one's going east to west.
It's a contradiction.
It's those details that belie your ball earth lie model.
Wow. Didn't know that. Hey.
Look here. You think I'm wrong. See? This is 2017, August 21st, total solar eclipse. West to east. The same one an asshole is talking about right here. So allow me to go over midnight sun with you. When does a midnight sun occur in the Arctic? Come over here. Norway, the land of the midnight sun, explained. And I'll take you down here to where I found the city, 70 degrees north. And we'll read what they claim gives the midnight sun in that location. Okay? Hammerfest from the 14th of May. You see the midnight sun. Okay? So, if we're on May 1st, how do you get the midnight sun at over 80 degrees north?
Yeah, right? Right, yeah.
See, look at this location, 70 degrees north. Time and date, what do they claim? From May 11th to August 11th at the northernmost town.
That's kind of a contradiction.
See the dates, people? See what they try to tell you? They always try to give you stories over here on these shield channels, like time and date, trying to brainwash you.
Yeah, right.
You go to April 2079. Remember, it was May 1st, 2079. It starts in New York. What are they showing? It's up all day. So they claim in April 1st, it's up all day. Midnight sun.
It's a contradiction.
84 degrees north. All those ball earthers will come over here for their information and say, see, you're wrong. It's up all day, that northern latitude. Even though they contradict themselves over here. May 11th.
Yeah, right? Right, yeah.
Here, that total eclipse, May 1st, 2079, look at it. 3:23 a.m., 5 degrees north, 12 degrees above the horizon. Totality there. Nothing really new under the sun there from the 1700s. Look, the nodal precession of the moon's 5-degree orbital inclination means eclipses happen only about every 6 months rather than every 2 weeks. That was known and taught in that astronomy class as the eclipse window. Now we have an eclipse season. And therefore, this has been changed. And I wonder if they've not also reprinted his book in modern times for the cheap Walmart price of $29.29 versus the original of $800 and maybe skewed the information and or changed it, as I'm going to proffer here.
Yeah. Right.
They do show online his eclipse window, as was taught to me in college when I was a young man. Now, I don't know what they teach, but what I just quoted goes along with what I found in the online version here, correlated to his eclipse window. He goes through a list of eclipses up until 1800. This book was published in 1757. So there's only one anomaly, really, and it's got to be a misprint, wherein he shows in this table 2 solar eclipses. But a table that was published in the 1800s from a German astronomer show that one of those is actually a lunar eclipse and not a solar. So I'm talking about this right here. It's got the date is different from, NASA to this German book. It should be August 11th, but it's a lunar. This is a lunar on August 25th. This is the solar. Anyhow, through all of his canons that he lists, you will not see anything that differentiates from what he claimed there. You will not see 4 in a row in 1 year. You won't see 7 in a year or 6 in a year. And that's why I say they must have changed in the reprinting of his text, because every one of these in his canon where he lists these solar and lunar eclipses, he does never show an example of 6 of these eclipses or 7 in 1 year. That would, contradict his thesis that is in this book.
Yep, right.
Wow, I didn't realize it's a contradiction.
And you can see videos on YouTube from professors claiming the same thing. Let me show you the anomaly that doesn't go along with that. They claim here, I guess this is page 167, that says, in any year, the number of eclipses of both luminaries cannot be less than 2, nor more than 7. The most usual number is 4, and it is very rare to have more than 6.
What a charming contradiction.
The nodal precession of the moon's 5-degree orbital inclination means eclipses happen only about every 6 months rather than every 2 weeks.
Yeah, right.
All this rarity has only taken place in the 19th century, or, I think the earliest was the 1930s, where they had 6 eclipses in 1 year. Like I say, the original book is $800. So what has changed? That's what I'd like to know. If anyone has access, they can put up the pages. Show me if he really does contradict his thesis in the old version. Not the reprint for $30 that anybody can buy. I want to know what the original text said, because I don't believe it has this contradiction from this passage here. But now that we currently are witnessing in our day and time, how many active Soros cycles? 41 lunar and 40 solar as of 2008. That's when 40 began. And that happened. We now have an eclipse season instead of an eclipse window. And nowhere in the reprint do I see him referring to an eclipse season.
Yeah, right? Right, yeah.
And look at what you get with the season. In 2020, in June and July, In less than a month, you had 2 lunar and 1 solar. And then in 2029, we're going to have 2 solar and 1 lunar.
Yeah, right.
Wow. Didn't know that.
And I believe in 1982, we had 7 eclipses total. But that's only as a result of the fact that we have more Soros cycles that are currently active than we did in the past. And lastly, another lie over here at the Ohio State astronomy.edu. They show you straight light, but in order to create the lie of their divergent shadow, umber, penumbra, or as I like to call it, the abracadabra shadow, to create this pinhole, they have to move the light. It has to crisscross in order to make that tiny shadow. That the distance of the sun and planets are as stated in the first chapter of this book. But to everyone else who knows how to take the altitude of the sun and the moon or a star can solve a plane right-angled triangle. Again, why is he using plane trigonometry when he's discussing spherical objects that need spherical trigonometry? Again, folks, when they need it to be flat, it's flat. When they need it to be a ball or divergent sun rays, they go from straight to then crisscross.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's a map of ancient Egypt. I've inserted 2 sticks or obelisks, one up here in Alexandria and one down here in Syene. Now, if at a certain moment each stick casts no shadow at all, that's perfectly easy to understand, provided the Earth is flat. If the shadow at Syene is at a certain length, and the shadow at Alexandria is the same length, that also makes sense on a flat Earth. But how could it be, Eratosthenes asked, that at the same instant there was no shadow at Syene and a very substantial shadow at Alexandria? The only answer was that the surface of the Earth is curved.
But I guess we just have to let stupid people believe what they're gonna believe.
Not only that, but the greater the curvature, the bigger the difference in the lengths of the shadows. The sun is so far away that its rays are parallel when they reach the Earth.
That's kind of a contradiction.
Sticks at different angles to the sun's rays will cast shadows at different lengths. For the observed difference in the shadow lengths, the distance between Alexandria and Syene had to be about 7 degrees along the surface of the Earth. By that I mean, if you imagine these sticks extending all the way down to the center of the Earth, they would there intersect at an angle of about 7 degrees.
Americans are stupid people by and large. We pretty much believe whatever we're told.
Well, 7 degrees is something like a 50th of the full circumference of the Earth, 360 degrees. Eratosthenes knew the distance between Alexandria and Syene. He knew it was 800 kilometers. Why?
They are godless people.
Because he hired a man to pace out the entire distance so that he could perform the calculation I'm talking about. Now, 800 kilometers times 50 is 40,000 kilometers. So that must be the circumference of the Earth. That's how far it is to go once around the Earth. That's the right answer. Eratosthenes' only tools were sticks, eyes, feet, and brains, plus a zest for experiment. With those tools, he correctly deduced the circumference of the Earth to high precision, with an error of only a few percent. That's pretty good figuring for 2,200 years ago.
Wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah, right.
That's bullshit. Yeah, it's bullshit.
See? And there you are, complete with your sigil of Satan. This makes it quite obvious, isn't it? Who this world system belongs to, this model of your existence and where you live, where it comes from.